Hey humans, what's up? I'm Breanne Williamson. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. This is another topic that we will be covering on the I Heard She's a Lesbian series. For those of you who have been around for a minute, I originally did this series about 5 years ago here on YouTube, and then I moved over to TikTok doing gay girl tips. There were more bite-sized content, but we're back with the long form content where I can share my experiences being a lesbian, coming out. It's just nice to sometimes grab a snack, grab a beverage, sit down, watch a YouTube video instead of just mindlessly scrolling on your phone. I think a lot of us, myself included, are going back to YouTube, and personally, I'm very excited to be back. My schedule here on YouTube is twice a week. Every Wednesday, I'm going to be coming to you with an I Heard She's a Lesbian series video where I will be talking about a queer topic. Let me know in the comments down below what topics you want me to cover in the future. And then every Sunday, I'm here with either a reaction video or a vlog. So I would love if you stuck around. I am moving slowly towards that 100,000 follower goal here on YouTube. It is one of my 2025 goals to get that play button, that 100K play button. And I know that it's easy just to find people on YouTube that always come up on your homepage, but it's free to do, and it would mean a lot to me if you hit that subscribe button and turn your post notifications on. It helps me out, and it helps me make free queer content for all of you. So I really appreciate it. Also, very quickly before we get into it, this has to do with today's topic, how to dress like a lesbian. I will be giving away a very queer t-shirt that is the perfect t-shirt for flagging that you are part of the LGBTQ plus community to one of my subscribers here on YouTube that heads over to Instagram at Basement51 Series. This is the Instagram account for our web series that we're currently in post-production for. It's going to be available for free to watch here on YouTube, right here on this channel. It's an LGBTQ plus comedy, spooky series. It's 6 episodes. I think you're going to love it. And we just launched our Instagram page where we're going to be doing a cast reveal at 1,000 followers. So we're doing a little giveaway to help get people over there. You can go to Basement51 Series on Instagram. Follow us there and DM us and let us know that you are subscribed to this YouTube channel. That's all you have to do to enter. And we're giving a couple of you a t-shirt that were originally only for Kickstarters. They were only for folks that backed the web series on Kickstarter. And now we're using any extras we have to give away to folks that are backing us in non-monetary ways, because we know that money does not grow on trees, and a lot of you really wanted to support this series, but might have not had the extra cash to do so on Kickstarter. So this is a great free way to back us and maybe win a t-shirt. So you can head over to Basement51 Series on Instagram. It is linked in the description down below. Thanks so much. Today we are talking about how to look like a lesbian, or how to dress like a lesbian, however you want to put it. And the first thing that people say when you start talking about this topic is there's no one way to look gay or queer or like a lesbian. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I've said that millions of times myself. I genuinely believe that there is no one way to look like a lesbian. However, today we are not talking about the fact that if you are a lesbian, you can dress however the hell you want, because that's the case. Point blank, period, end of conversation. Dressing a certain way does not affect your queerness. Your personal style and your personal choice of how you represent yourself to the world for you does not make you any more or less gay. However, today we are here to talk about how to let other people know you're gay based on your style. So while other people's perception cannot affect your queerness, okay, does not decide your queerness, whether people perceive you as gay or lesbian, if you are someone who wants other people to know that you are a lesbian or a queer woman, these tips will help. Take it with a grain of salt. This is not me saying that certain things make you gayer or not. You are so gay. You're as gay as you can get. This is just ways for strangers in the world or people in the LGBTQ plus community, if they were to see you at the bar, or if someone was scrolling on TikTok and your face popped up, how can you make them within your style perceive you as more queer? How can you do that? Well, there's easy ways to do it. And these tips are both for femmes, mascs, anything in between. I can guarantee that you're going to find something here today that you can fit into your personal style. Tip number 1 is kind of just the cold, hard truth. I hate to do this, but we have to start here. I always have people, especially when I post these on TikTok, say, Bree, it drives me nuts. No one ever knows that I'm a lesbian. Okay. And then I go and I click on their profile to see who this person is. And they are dressed like the most stereotypical Republican sorority sister. Okay. They are the poster girl for basic bitch fall pumpkin spice season. And there's no problem with that. If you are a lesbian and you want to dress like all of your straight besties that you went to high school with, or if you just want to have the most stereotypical middle America style, okay, we're talking the wardrobe that they are dressing people in for Hallmark films. If you want to do that, that's okay. But you also cannot be surprised that other people do not clock that you're queer. Historically, queer style is going against the grain, against the status quo. So if you're dressing for the status quo and that's what makes you comfortable, that's all right. But then you have to decide that your style isn't going to necessarily shout queerness. You need to be the person that's willing to shout it for yourself, verbally and loudly, okay? Because you can be classic, stereotypical suburban femme, but you can't assume that people are going to know that you're a lesbian. It just doesn't go hand in hand. How femmes can be bolder while still dressing this way is a topic for another day, but let's get on to tip 2. There is so much power in something called flagging. Now, flagging is something deeply rooted in queer history. It is a way that queer people forever have been letting other queer people know that they are also part of the LGBTQ plus community, often without letting people outside of the community know. So this is often a strategy used for queer people to find the other queer people in spaces that may not be typically safe. So this is really useful for people that live in small towns. Maybe they're not out to certain people yet. They don't want to be, flying the pride flag out of their car window, but they do want to be able to, go to the local bar and maybe make eyes with someone who gets that they're also a lesbian. There are some ways that you can do it in a new age way. For example, with tattoos. If you are someone who has tattoos that has queer symbols, queer song lyrics, right? That maybe not everyone outside of the community would get, that's a great way to do it. Here's another way to do it. Find a really niche sapphic artist. I'm not talking Chaperone, okay? I'm talking an artist that is mostly listened to by the sapphic community. For example, Fletcher. This is an artist that's big enough that most other sapphics will know them, but is in community enough that if you're wearing a Fletcher t-shirt, or a Zolita t-shirt is another example, most of the people that are going to clock that are going to be other sapphics, other lesbians. If I walked into a bar wearing Zolita merch, odds are other people at that bar are going to assume that I am part of that community if they are also part of that community. The great thing about a lot of these artists' merch is it's not just t-shirts these days. Like it's like cute shorts and other things. And wearing a band tee is a great way to wear merch that is queer without it being specifically queer merch, meaning it doesn't say like, I'm a lesbian in big bold font on it, which I'm not against that either. If you want to go that far, you do it. But I'm trying to give examples also for people that don't want to be necessarily clocked by everyone around their neighborhood. You can also flag with jewelry. So there's great ways to incorporate signs and symbols into jewelry that some of which are obvious and some are less obvious, that works for every style, whether you're femme or masc. This is going to lean kind of into tip number 3, but the more jewelry, the better. So I think if you wear a ton of rings, if you have a lot of piercings, that is going to be a great way to flag as well. And that leads me into tip number 3, which is alternative style. Now, I know this isn't going to work for everyone, especially the girlies I was talking about earlier, the Hallmark wardrobe girlies. Queer style is historically going against the grain. So a great way for people to not assume that you're cis and straight is by having some form of alternative style. So something different than the standard woman of your age would be wearing. And there's a lot of ways to do this. So an example I already talked about is having tons of jewelry, lots of tattoos, interesting hair choices. So whether that's a mullet. If I see someone with colored hair, I'm kind of assuming that they're queer. I'm assuming it until I'm proven wrong, opposed to the other way around. If you don't want to commit to things like a haircut or tattoos or piercings, another great way to do this is with makeup. So having bolder makeup that goes out of the, clean girl aesthetic, traditional low-key norm, whether that's really hyper femme makeup with lots of glitter and color, or if that's more of a grungy alt makeup look. There's a lot of fun ways that you can stand out using makeup that show me that you are willing to go against the grain. And again, I'm going to lead with the assumption that you are potentially queer before assuming that you are part of the local sorority house. Now for tip 4, let's talk about masc style. If you are dressing masc, you are obviously going to give a louder nod to the fact that you are a lesbian. And I know femmes hate when I say this because they're like, I'm just as gay. That's absolutely true. Being masc does not make you any more of a lesbian than dressing femme or being femme. Your gayness is not affected. However, choosing to present yourself in a masculine way in our current society, choosing to go against the grain and the expectations of men in our society is inherently queer. If you are a woman and you are getting a short haircut, if you are a woman and you are not shaving, if you are a woman and you are not wearing makeup, if you are a woman and you are wearing traditionally perceived men's clothing, you are giving a big fuck you to society. You are saying, I am going to be exactly who I am, despite the fact that men around me value me less. In the way that our society is set up with the patriarchy, that is inherently queer. People assuming that masc presenting folks are lesbians more than assuming femme presenting folks are lesbians is not saying that femme presenting folks are any less gay. It's just that that person has already laid down the visual groundwork that they do not ride with society's expectations. So obviously that's going to be a huge clue that they could be a lesbian. It's just undeniable. You can still be very, very gay. And this brings me to my next tip, and be femme. And here's the best way to do it. Go the complete opposite way. Be hyper feminine. The more feminine you can be, because there's some middle ground here, which again, I'm not harping on the people that I was talking about at the beginning of the video. We're now calling them our Hallmark girlies for dressing that way. You can dress that way. I love that for you. However, those ways in the middle of style, those kind of safe style choices that fit within gender norms are not going to be inherently perceived as queer because they fit with the male gaze, the expectations by men of how women should present themselves in society. If you want to flag to other queer people that you are queer or a lesbian, you got to go one way or the other, okay? Masc, go super masc. Or you go super hyper feminine. You wear stuff that is in no way in line with the male gaze. I'm talking overly fluffy, glittery, flowery. You can do this with makeup. You can do this with your style. Over the top femininity does not align with the current expectation of women by men in our society. You see this all the time, even with straight girls online posting. They're like, my boyfriend hates this outfit. And it's usually because it's like a very stylized, hyper feminine outfit that men don't perceive is for them because it's not for them. So making the choice to dress for yourself, or dare I say, for the female gaze, opposed to dressing aligned with what the male gaze wants, people are more likely to assume that you're a lesbian. Now, I would love to, on a future I Heard She's a Lesbian video, talk about ways to let other people know that you're a lesbian that don't have to do with style, that have to do with more attitude, energy, behavior, those sorts of things. If you would like me to talk about that, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to discuss it. If you have any other tips for folks that might be watching this video about flagging or signs that you perceive as inherently gay, let the comments roll. I want to see the carabiners, the Carhartts, all of it. Put it down in the comments down below. And don't forget to head over to Basement 51 series on Instagram. It'll be linked in the description down below. Follow over there and DM us that you are subscribed to this YouTube channel, and you will be entered to win a t-shirt. And also, you will be supporting queer indie film and our web series that will be eventually available to watch here on YouTube for free. So make sure to subscribe, turn your post notifications on, get me one step closer to that 100,000 play button, which is a goal of mine for 2025. I appreciate y'all supporting me so much. It means the world to me. And I will see you on the next one. Bye.